You have the will and the fortitude to kill your wife, but your body won't let you lie about it.
You have a lot of history of doing interrogations and interviews, so...
Not telling the truth and withholding the truth is such an internal struggle.
So 8 days after retirement, you find yourself in the Middle East working.
Still trying to seek the truth, still trying to investigate and protect our communities. Crisis proof, it's economy proof. It's such an amazing service. We're only here once. Let's make the best of it.
And it's a lifestyle. So how do you spot those people out as quick as possible? The job lookers versus the career lookers. Like that's pretty easy for you because they have to go through a pretty rigorous amount of information to.
They do.
Yeah.
And so the ones that I can really tell the look on these students' faces. The ones that are kind of driven being there, they've got a resume in hand. They're looking around parents. If they show up with parents, that's a really good sign.
Yeah.
Because and I appreciate helicopter moms and dads because they're the ones paying.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
The ones that show up kind of kicking dirt around a little bit and horse turds on the floor, it doesn't, they're there on a bit of a radar, throwing a net over everything and seeing if something sticks. And having parents here is really, really important.
Yeah. And I guess you have a lot of history of doing interrogations and interviews, so you can basically read those people pretty quickly, I assume.
Yeah,
how long were you?
I've been surprised in past. Sometimes, I've been surprised in past, and it's usually this is going to be a one-way show, and you got information, I need it, and I'm looking forward to hearing more and the truth. And every now and then we'll get, I didn't do it. I want to talk to my lawyer. I want to talk to my parents, whatever, and that's fine. It certainly is the right, but at the end of the day, it's inherently humans want to tell the truth. Yeah, they want to tell their story.
Yeah.
It's a quote came to me years ago. I attended a investigations course in the Middle East, actually, when I was living there. And the investigator, trainer, he said, "Isn't it interesting how you have the will and the fortitude to kill your wife, but your body won't let you lie about it?" And it is so true, because not telling the truth and withholding the truth is such an internal struggle. Even when you did really bad stuff, your body still wants you to tell the truth. Yeah, it's a basic human sentiment. Yeah, that it wants.
I wonder what the studies say about that. The subconscious, the id, whatever Freud said about his mom.
Yeah, possibly. Super id and all that stuff. So, but quite possibly. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot there to uncover already. So you lived in the Middle East.
I did.
Okay. And how long were you a cop for?
25 years.
25 years. And at what point did you end up in the Middle East?
Right. 8 days after retirement.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And then right to Qatar. So I got recruited as a program developer and instructor in Qatar, Middle East. And I retired on the 4th of August, and I found myself in 55-degree weather, which was insane.
Yeah. Do you tan?
On the 12th of August. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. How's your skin in that weather? I'd
Brilliant.
Be a lobster.
No, not at all.
Really?
You would not.
No?
Yeah? I can sit in. One of the aha moments for me, the very first summer it doesn't turn from 40 to 30 until about end of September. But you can I can be in a swimming pool, and they're all refrigerated there. Yeah. Drinking beer, pop juice, whatever, all day in the sun. And in 50 degrees, 40 degrees, I come home to 20 degrees and I burn like a crisp.
Yeah. That's interesting because Calgary is the most sunny city in Canada or North America?
In Canada.
In Canada.
Now, I think it's because of the ozone layers being so thin at the polars and around the middle of the earth.
Possibly the altitude as well.
Yeah.
Because I do burn here harder than anywhere else. I went to the Bahamas. I was just doing a shoot with a good friend and a business partner of mine for some real estate stuff that he's doing. And I went out for the day. It was the first day of sunlight, and I went home red in Calgary. Yep. And I'm talking like it was cold out.
Right.
And and then I go to the Bahamas. I didn't get a single burn the whole entire time. I was on a boat with my shirt off in the Bahamas for 7 days.
And the sun reflecting off the water and everything, and nothing. No, and I'm granted the UV in some of those Ecuadorian kind of around the equator, they can be challenging around the sun in your eyes and your skin and all that kind of stuff, but I never experienced it at all.
So 8 days after retirement, you find yourself in the Middle East working.
Correct. Yeah.
Give us the lowdown on that.
Yeah.
So you didn't, it wasn't, you're done with your career, but you're not done working, right?
No,
and I find that's like a lot of males, right?
Correct.
Like myself, I couldn't see myself quitting working.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's with that shark fest, you slow down and stop, you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you drown.
For sure.
Yeah.
You do. And I think for retired police members who are, I can't wait they're doing the countdown to 25 years and they get to 25. Golf is not possible to do the rest of your life. You cannot do it.
Yeah. And
this is me as a man. This is me as a husband, a father, contributing to the economy, contributing to, that's why I'm in higher post-secondary education, is that I have to constantly re-engineer myself, constantly reframing myself, constantly looking for mastery. And that's just being a man in this world. And I believe in it. So yeah, getting in front of people in a classroom, fantastic. Being at a student career fair, fantastic.
Yeah.
Pitching a new widget that will save a police officer's life, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for me, it's all about this vocation, and I'll do it until I'm 100. I for sure will.
Yeah. Well, we had a good rolling start here. So let's kind of just do a quick wrap of what you're up to right now. And then what we'll maybe do, we'll talk a little bit about your history as a cop. I know you just said you're also a husband and you are a father.
Yes.
So right now you're running a police academy, a career school where you're bringing kids on to do a 2-year program to kind of look at becoming a cop themselves. And you also mentioned it's important for the parents to be on board. So there's a lot of these things that are going to be intertwining that we're going to revisit. And I think the good thing to just start off with is kind of what are you up to right now? What are you doing? And what's kind of the end goals right now for yourself?
Well, thanks for the question. So what am I doing today as an example? At a career fair, representing the Canadian Criminal Justice Academy and with a couple different hats on, young people are in high school or right out of high school in those early years, trying to figure themselves out. Hey, policing looks like something would be interesting, or I saw it in the media. There's some kind of a police show or CSI Vegas or something like that. That looks forensics looks cool, or I want to be a dog handler because I love puppies, or that kind of stuff. So, and then along comes Lonnie. Yeah, along comes this dude in your grill a little bit to trying to figure out, well, how do you know what you know? Yeah. How do you know policing is for you? How do you know being a firefighter is for you, or EMS? And I mean, the rhetoric or the kind of the sentiment is, well, I want to help my community. But it doesn't take much before you start peeling that back a little bit to figure out, is that really why you've selected this? Or is it often it becomes, well, I was helped as a child and now I want to be a helper. I want to be a part of that conversation in order to, yes, ultimately assist my community. But I mean, it's an honorable occupation and it's an honorable career. If you're entering it as a job, it won't last for you because the little things will start adding up for you and starting to stack up, compounding
before you even start the job.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I love that fast pace. It's a particular exciting energy. And I even saw it today, as I was sharing maybe a little bit earlier, is that you've got the kids showing up with their resume in hand and they got that look. Like they're going to a drive-in movie theater. They've never been to a drive-in before. And so it's just settling them down a little bit. Moms and dads are super important. There was a grandparent with someone today and an aunt today as well. And that support, I think, is really important. And I never really noticed it until I went overseas into Southeast Asia, into Singapore. And even with their police academy on one of my travels, even with their police academy, is that there's a whole week designed right around parents. This is what a policing career is going to look like. This is what hardship may feel like. This is what sacrifice may feel like. And this is what we're here to develop these young people in developing and making their country safe and secure and problem solvers. And so up until that time that I went into Southeast Asia, I already thought, it's a helicopter parent. What are you doing here? Why are they waiting for you in the waiting room and stuff? Without that parent's oversight, especially the young ones, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, who have never really been exposed to danger, calls for service, a break-in not in progress, shoplifter. For those people that have never been exposed to that, parents are vitally important, because not only are they paying for that education, but they're also wanting to be a part of their life story.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got 2 adult sons, and I'm constantly, even at my age, yes, I'm still that helicopter parent, so to speak, but I want them to be a witness to my life too. And so that's what it feels like to be a male in our society, I think, in our community. So
has that evolved a lot? Like, so what about when you were becoming a cop, 25 or so years? How long ago was that now? So
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was in 1900.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what was it like when you? I assume it was very different, because the culture was very different, right? You were supposed to be a man. I've watched Mad Men, so anxiety didn't exist then. So
no, I mean, our recruit class, mostly white faces. When I started policing, it was white faces. It was generally what I call knuckle draggers, who love the gym, who love big arms on them, and can run a million miles, and that kind of stuff. And maybe not the wisest, and maybe most educated. I mean, in my recruit class, when I started policing, I was 19.
Yeah,
and unheard of today. But I was 19, and the old man was 26 in our recruit class. We don't even, Calgary, Edmonton, RCMP, 25, 26 is kind of when they're starting to look at people. Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so now, and I think by good reason, because as a taxpayer, a new police officer is making $100,000 in their first year. Court and overtime and recruit training, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it is evolved a lot. People are still calling 911. They're still getting police officers showing up at their door. They're still getting people asking questions, doing interviews, doing interrogations, still trying to seek the truth, still trying to investigate and protect our communities. That will never change in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So, this career is COVID proof. It's crisis proof. It's economy proof. It's such an amazing service. And I've been retired a long time. I've been retired quite a few years, and I still love it. I think I'm more police now than I was when I was policing.
That's awesome.
And now I built my wall.
Yeah.
I got my caveman wall with all of my hero shots and pictures and stuff all over the place.
That's awesome.
SWAT and bikes and dogs and all that stuff. I got all that done. Now my job, and the part that excites me, I can even feel it in my tone of my voice, but the part that excites me is getting young people with that same, that's cool.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
And they get to start building their walls.
Yeah.
And we're only here once. Let's make the best of it. I'm not taking away anything from retail or the food service industry. I'm not taking any of that away, but there's a certain mindset that said, I'm in this. I want to get my community rocking and rolling and be the king of Kensington or the queen of Kensington. I'm here to problem solve.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a sense of duty there, and it's a lifestyle. It isn't a job.
Right.
There is a difference from being a cashier or driving an Uber. It's not that those aren't jobs. It's that this isn't a job, right? This is a career. It's a lifestyle. People are going to look at you different, good and bad. People are going to treat you different, good and bad. And you're going to have to act different, right? Because you're actually always on the job, I assume, right? Like
totally are.
Yeah.
Well, we want to have a community of people. Recruit training and the education that leads up to that, and your last 3 years of your high school. It's all about good citizenry.
Yeah.
It's all about building great citizens, not ripping people off, not hurting each other, not yelling at your kids, not kicking the cat, and all that kind of stuff. And what policing is doing, EMS, fire, all that service industry, military police, the military themselves, is taking these great citizens, putting them in a uniform, and asking them to serve a country that they truly deserve.
Yeah.
And not for everybody. It's totally not for everybody. but there's a certain amount of people that it is.
Yeah.
I sit around a table at Christmas time, and brother-in-laws, all lawyers, they, oil and gas and farmers. All that. Tell us a police story, Lonnie. Tell us, and that is the conversation around the Christmas, Easter, Ramadan, whatever. That's the conversation.
Do you have a most popular one?
Oh, I got lots. Funny ones. I got some really, really funny ones. So, just jeepers.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, put it in a question. Give me
I guess what is the first one that really made you realize how serious your job is? Great question. I was 19, new to policing. We had it was a call where it was a farm accident, and they're bringing in this young boy who had been caught up in a hay bine or in a piece of farm equipment, and he died as a result. It was the very first human form that had been dead and I'd never been close to one before. Yeah, that you've seen like that.
Right,
yeah.
19, I was shaking like a leaf.
Oh, and I can only imagine that's not the first one you want to see.
It was scary. Yeah. It was scary for me.
Yeah.
My partner, who had my field trainer, who had seen lots and was very careful with me, and having check-ins with me, making sure that I was all right.
I assume that's evolved too, is how you're treated after those traumatic incidences on the force. That's probably evolved quite a bit as well, right? I assume you joined, you were 19, you're a kid, maybe a little hot-headed, you're ready to go. Yeah. Now we're looking at people who are 26, 28, like you're saying, and that's psychologists say that's when the brain is actually starting to settle down, and you're like, oh, I want a career, not a job. So that makes sense to me, actually.
Right.
What's interesting is I assume everything has evolved and you've gotten to see that, right?
Correct.
And I assume you see the good and the bad of the evolution of it, but what was it for you then? Did they pull you aside? Did you have a psychologist for it? Are you just having to explain it to your mom, who's now what the hell have I let you get into?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So
other than your partner, of course.
Mental health, back in those days was conversation. Can we go for a beer? Chicken wings weren't even invented yet.
What?
My grandmother used to pick up free chicken wings at the slaughterhouse because they were just throwing them in the garbage. This was before chicken wings. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my God.
So, going and having an very informal debrief around how that impacted me. I will never forget that day. The firsts are always challenging and honoring. Actually, it was my partner actually pulling me aside saying you have the honor of taking care of those remains until they get to the actual funeral. And that's your job.
That's fair, yeah.
And it's responding to, the next significant, I would say, critical moment was responding to an EMS call where a young guy, he was an asthmatic, probably 8 or 9, I'll never forget this, and EMS is working on him, and I'm driving the ambulance. 1,000 miles an hour.
Shit.
Right. And and he wasn't successful and he didn't survive.
Yeah.
And I was good. I was busy. I had my hands dirty with everything, all these intubations and bags and stuff was going on all over the place. And I was busy. Yeah. The second I settled down long enough and my sergeant asked me, "How you doing?" And I just flooded. It was just a complete flush.
Yeah.
And that was and those were how and it wasn't any of this chest pumping, good job. It was, I had surrounded myself with really great supervisors, really great field trainers that took care of me and we took care of each other. And I absolutely took it not for granted.
Yeah.
I took everything with complete responsibility and respect. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And there were some funny ones.
Yeah.
Total. The things that we did back in those days, you couldn't get away with now. But, there was one where a particular dealership had a series of trailers on one lot. We completely traded them for a bunch of trailers on another lot, and I'm sitting in the middle of wintertime in the trunk of a police car, holding onto the hitch, driving these trailers back and forth, exchanging And U-Haul may have been involved, but exchanging these trailers back and forth between these two lots, and opening up the shop the next day at Ryder saying, what are all these U-Haul trailers doing on our lot?
Yeah.
And then Ryder going, what are all these, and we did a complete exchange. It was fantastic. Just good
camaraderie,
shits and giggles stuff. And funny.
It's hard to get away with that shit these days, sadly.
You can't. I mean, people are expecting an era of professionalism stuff. And I mean, taking ourselves way too seriously is I think can be hurtful.
Yeah.
Doing our job, absolutely. I mean, we got taking that really seriously, but let's not take ourselves too serious.
Yeah.
I love my Calgary place. I love my Edmonton place. I love all of my RCMP. I love them all.
Yeah.
Lighten up a bit. Have some fun out there, you guys.
You talk a lot about like surrounding yourself with the good leadership, right? And like how much of that comes into play at the police academy when you're teaching these kids. You have them for 2 years. Like, is there, okay, you teach everybody the same amount of leadership skills. Can you kind of see, this person is going to be more of a leader? Do the students take kind of control in a classroom as a leadership? And you know, this one's going to help people. This one's going to be able to go really far. Like, how do you see that at an early stage, or does that maybe come out more later on in development once they've gone through some of the stuff?
Yeah. Great question. It's not like in the old days, certainly in my time, where let's just break them down. We're going to start them all over brand new, fresh, and we're going to build them the way we want them.
Yeah.
The way I like to look at it with the Justice Academy is let's treat it like a candle wick, where we're building candles. We're going to dip it in some hot wax. We're going to bring it out and let it dry. Let's see how that goes. See, try a little bit of leadership. We're going to very introverted. We're going to get you in front of a class, and we're going to do a presentation. We're going to do a debrief or whatever. Then we're going to dip it again. And what we're doing over the course of the 21 months is we're going to build that candle bigger and bigger and bigger. And let's not forget ethics. How do we make decisions? Leadership. Team building. How did you include everybody, or how did you not include everybody? What were your choices? And let's not forget to have some fun. What are they doing over at the law courts? Let's go and see what's going on over there. Hey, what are they doing at a career fair? What are they doing at the Caribbean Fest? And as justice students, we get to see all that stuff. It's kind of a free ticket.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. And so I love the behind the scenes stuff. That transcript is important, but that co-curricular activity stuff, it's way more important. And so to answer your question, we see all kinds of leadership capabilities and capacities. It's everybody has their own stuff. And so, No,
that's awesome. What do you guys do? Like these students, they have to go on a ride with the cops or anything like that, or
they do, and we highly encourage it. How's that? And along with and this is coming along with a medical examiner, if you can imagine what that looks and feels like. Bridging that classroom stuff into real world out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so dogs, SWAT guys, forensics. And I'm sorry, but not all the forensics lab investigators show up with high heels and lipstick. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And they're not out making arrests, and they're not swimming around in a pool party trying to figure out who the bad guy is. It doesn't work that way.
Not NCIS.
It's not that. It's not that. And I mean, I even had a question. A part of the recruiting process is education. Is that, I mean, before you can get into being a detective, you actually have to do patrol work. You actually have to get to know your community. Yeah. You actually have to be a really great cop.
Yeah.
I had a conversation, and I'm a past tactical guy, full-time SWAT out of Edmonton, 1,000 miles an hour and all that kind of stuff. I'm just nearing the end of my tenure with TAC, and I get the phone call, hey, Lonnie, I want to be a great TAC guy. What do I need to do? And I said, well, while you're in patrol, you take all the crappy calls. You take all the calls that the guys don't want to have. Yep. You take all the complicated, the messy ones, and those are the ones you work on. Your reputation will excel. And that's the kind of tactical guy, forensics guy, dad, tradesman. I mean, those are the people that will really step up in any environment.
I think that that says a lot just across business. Like, so I always tell people, fortuna is bullshit. There's no such thing as luck. Right. So luck is created out of being available and working, right? Taking every opportunity, especially when it's not the opportunity you want, because when that opportunity arrives, you do become the first person that they're going to call. And you're going to have the answer to all these fucking things that you never thought you needed the answer to. Yeah, I do know that, right? Or, I've been through a situation where I had to use critical thinking at least to get through it. So I think that's like a blanket thing that I often tell people is like, no, we're not lucky. We sat in a 200 square foot office, me and my business partner, for 2 years, not paying ourselves, waiting for every opportunity. Now, my business partner used to sell any service, sadly, and just make me do it. He'd be like, oh, you need a 50-page business plan for the banks? Yeah, not a problem. Jordan writes those. And this was before AI, just a couple years before AI. I had to go through the ringer. But what we see is like a lot of the people now who we're bringing on, when I ask them, if I ask them to do a 50-page business plan for somebody for business development or something, they're going to think they can rely on chat, right, or AI. So it's interesting because I say, no. You have to be able to do it yourself first, and then ask chat what's wrong with it, right? You can get the sculpture, like the backbone, the structure, but you should write it, right? But anyways, either way, my point is like being available for the shitty calls is the way to get all of the best calls, right? Well, this guy's been through the ringer. Who's ready for this? Who's ready? Who's seen the worst of it, right?
Feels good.
This guy, he's patient. He's dealt with everything.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and to add to that piece, then, it is your DNA that is responsible for the outcomes of everything that I do. The way I approach it, the conversations I have, the relationships I have, hey, I happen to know somebody, or I happen to know somebody. ChatGPT cannot do that for you. It cannot do that for you. Your flavor, as I said, your DNA, the way you think about things, the analysis, that is a very human thing. We're not chatting GPT to fix your problem with your neighbor who just cut a tree down on your garden. Or who's victimized your kids, or had a problem in the school ground. ChatGPT won't fix that, and that's why that darn phone, chat, wherever, tech, internet, that will not. And that's why policing is soundproof from all of that stuff. If back to what's going to make a great cop is meeting people, having those hard conversations, projects, trying something you never tried before, and doing it. I mean, and really screwing it up, and then trying it again and screwing it up less. And so, inherently, being human, we're going to make all kinds of mistakes. It's perfect, and really learning from those skates, and not only learning, but leading yourself and going on to the next philosophically. Going on to the next one and trying to do a better job of it, not trying to screw it up twice.
Don't let the last one bring you down, but definitely remember the lessons from it.
Luck favors a prepared mind, and in that preparation, I'm always the wiser after I.
Once again, luck doesn't exist because it favors the prepared mind. It's not
correct.
Luck. You were prepared. You know what I mean?
Like, and your one phone, your one phone call, your one telephone, your one conversation away from greatness. I'm standing in a lineup, and the woman right in front of me says, "Hey, you're with. You do what? I got an idea, and pretty soon." If we did more of that, as opposed to getting our faces out of our telephones and stuff, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. It's right back to community. In fact, I was just at that AI conference in Edmonton, Upperbound, and all the sentiment is this is a very interesting tool, but let's keep the human in it. In fact, without human, it will not be chat. Yeah,
I see a lot with what we do. We take a lot of businesses, we help them automate, we help them remove so many touch points, right? And we help them build the funnel that's going to ultimately give them the most vetted and qualified leads, right? And in many different ways. But a big thing right now is AI. And I run into people who think that they can use AI for everything over and over. And the thing is AI is in its infancy. So more often than not, so what I'm recommending people is to wait. how about we automate it for now? And then the AI is going to invent itself, right? Like every 3 months, there's something giant just around the horizon. Don't waste your time and your money developing it right now. Just let's build a foundation that prepares you to be ready when it does come, right? So it's really hard for some people to separate AI from functional AI, right? Like being able to use it as a tool, not to do the job for you, right? And it's not able to do the entire job like a human can, not yet. And who knows, it might get there, it might not. It looks like it definitely will to me, but the important part is right now taking it with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Keeping it human. I was just watching Simon Sinek and Diary of CEO, and he was saying like, it's not about like an AI can write a book. It's about that you went through the fucking pain and tears and organization of writing a book. Like Malcolm Gladwell, if you've read any of his books. So he has a great one about cops. How to talk to strangers or talking to strangers. And like by the end of that book, and it's a big book and it's so intense, but at the end of it, you understand why every single thing had to be mentioned. The way that his brain organized that, that's magic. It's not magic to me that AI can do it. You know what I mean? And
well, AI is not going to be able to get you into somebody's mind who are trying to keep the secrets away from you. And this is why
unless they have Neuralink, maybe.
Well, NLP or whatever, that kind of stuff for sure. Now, and that's why I just love the service profession, like policing, is that because that tech, I mean, it might be able to get me into give me the safe route into to a bad guy's residence. AI may be able to help me with that. Helicopters, drones, all that kind of, they may be able to help me with that. But at no time is AI going to be able to help me with, okay, how to ask this question. How to get the very best out of this victim when we're asking those hard questions. And it's super important that whole, and there's a book called Presence, that whole piece around how present are you, and to be able to get the very best story out of the worst situation for humans. Because nobody's calling the cops when they're winning a lottery, when their kids are getting married, none of that. That's all the plus. Cops are getting called on the negatives. So how we respond to that? We respond to it with compassion, ethics, understanding, leadership, followership even. So
100%. So we've talked kind of about your past and also what you're doing right now, which is the police academy, and you're training young youths with the hopefully, right?
Yeah,
hopefully they make it to that point. They go through a lot. We can touch on that really quick because I found it interesting. Is like you have the closest to like 100% placement rate because you're basically doing all the hardest things possible while they're in the school with you, or before they get into the school.
Before
before
admissions. Our admissions program or the admissions process is we polygraph all our student candidates. They have to have a.
You should have brought a polygraph. That would have been fun.
Well, I know the guy, and he's retired CPS. He's retired Calgary Police. He's awesome. Both of them are. There's two of them.
That's hilarious.
That we work with. A debt reduction plan, a fitness plan. What you start with is not going to be what you end with.
Is debt reduction like a big thing these days with the young kids?
Can get you deferred. Bad debt can get you deferred. I mean, there's good debt. I'm making my payments. I got student loan.
You have a car debt.
Everybody's going to have a
score better. You have a condo. That's good debt. Bad debt. Credit card.
You don't want people calling you. As soon as the banks or CRA's calling you, it's bad. And then finally, you're nominated by somebody, a leadership somebody leader in your community, and you don't even have to know them. We're just looking for a nominee. And so all of that admissions side, along with your high school diploma, all of that admissions side of the house takes a lot of work. And it's really, and we found is the harder they work to get in, the easier, or the harder it is for them to actually leave. So far, we haven't had a single person out of the 3 intakes leave the program. Because they've worked so hard to get there, they can't possibly want to leave.
You got to go through a lot. You vet them stronger than I think anyone that I know that would vet them other than the police. You know what I mean? Like they're doing the polygraph and everything. They're already so vetted. They have to be into it.
And the point is when they graduate, then they can start knocking about out of the 5 semesters, about the end of semester 4, they can start knocking on CPS's door, EPS's door, RCMP door, saying, hey, I'm getting close to graduation here. I may only be 20 or 21, and I do know that police are still hiring those with a solid education, and solid leadership and all that kind of stuff. But that's the time we want them in that fourth semester to be knocking on recruiters' doors saying, "What about us?" Yeah, and we're super excited about our first graduation coming up. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's great.
And as I said, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's
the paycheck looks good, but it's there's so much more that comes with this, right?
If you're in for the paycheck,
you have to be able to handle stress very well, I assume. But you probably teach them a bit of that, I assume. For sure. And I bet you become quite the confidant to these students.
All of us do. And I mean, all the faculty are either serving or retired police and corrections. Yeah. And the whole mental health thing, if we just concentrated on what gets them into trouble to start with, and let's back it up and let's avoid that. You know, I had a really great friend who is a therapist, and she asked me, she says, "Well, tell me about your worst call." Yeah. And she goes, "Lonnie, I think you've got, I think you have what we call positive PTSD, because you're all about what, you know, you took this really bad situation and you made it an honorable opportunity for you to help people. Yeah, you've taken it to the plus side." She goes, "You're not for us. We're looking for the ones that are struggling, trying to get up to the bar." Yeah, and she goes, "You're a freakish anomaly." Yeah, and,
well, it's good. You can take like the lessons that you learned from those traumatic incidents. We were talking about this earlier, like the ability to not bring it with you, but to remember the lessons. You're obviously embodying that. You're taking it, and you're able to actually share those lessons with other people, right?
And that piece needs to, in and out of the classroom. That piece for our young people is that turning up the heat on them. And hey, we need to go for coffee. What you witnessed there was a significant traumatic event, and I'm really wanting to unpack this and to with dignity and respect, a little bit of time, and often it's even our students' backgrounds. I mean, what has been going on in their childhood and in their teen years that maybe they're still trying to figure out and unpack. Yeah, and that's what's drawing them to policing to begin with. Yep. I knew the second that we had Calgary police, there was 3 Calgary police officers showing up at my door when my parents were, my dad was getting with the domestic violence with my mom, and I knew that was the day I wanted to be a police officer. Yeah, and I think it was around 9 or 10, and I mean, the first day of policing, I said, "Yeah, I just want to help my community." But if anybody had sat me down, right? If anybody had sat me down, right?
People, they love to tell the truth. They'll just tell as little of it as they can, right? They don't want to. They want, yeah, they want to be protected. Yeah, they want to be be. Yeah, and absolutely. That's interesting, and I see that as well. Even with people that I'm hiring, why do you want to do this? What are you looking for? Right?
I just want to be a media guy. I want to be saving the community.
It's
I want to be
no, there's something there. There's something there. If not, then you're probably not going to be good. Right. That's a big thing too, right? And we see that a lot. And we say, I say to people that work for me, I say like if your heart is in this, you're going to be good. For sure. That's it. Yeah, but your heart being in it, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see you taking the extra mile. I'm going to see you going and trying to figure it out on your own, right? I'm not going to be the one who's always pushing. I'm going to help you. I'm going to lift you up when you're down. But you definitely need to, got to be able to lift yourself up. Your heart has to be in it.
I saw a fantastic bumper sticker and it said, "Look busy, Jesus is coming." And that's the truth. Is it with heart, I can run marathon after marathon after marathon without question. I may question a little bit, but if I'm in it for the money, if I'm in it for the perks, if I'm in it for the kudos, if I'm in it for the uniform, all of that stuff, it won't last, and it gets really tarnished. Yeah. But you have someone that shows up saying, "I'm ready."
Especially it's an extremely stressful job that you guys have. Like you got to be 100% in it.
Yeah. And how do they get there? How do you go from high school where, I mean, at worst is, okay, I got caught cheating on an exam, or the principal yelled at me, or to a point where, holy mackerel, we're going into a sudden death, or we're a victim, or I just saw a police officer sitting in the trunk of a car holding on to a trailer hitch of a U-Haul, driving it down. How do we respond to that? And so, I mean, and putting the FUN back into this great career. Yeah. this is what I just love. I just love hanging with the guys even today and seeing what they're doing. They're doing great work. Calgary, Edmonton, RCM, they're all doing really great work. Sheriffs, they're all doing great work. So if there was a message in all this, where's the fun?
Yeah.
Why aren't you guys having fun? Why aren't you enjoying it?
It must be hard though. Especially a guy who owns a very large social media outfit, and I also have the other media, and I have the production, and we work with other people in media, and you see, well, we all have our eyes open all the time, right? Like all the time. It must be hard to have a bit of fun.
Well, you say that, however, and my advice to you, and you don't need another dad because that's not what I'm about. But however, but it's the fun part that people are attracted to.
No, 100%. I just feel like it must be hard for the cops to do it because they think everyone's going to criticize a little bit of fun.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
But I think generally our public that we serve, I think they're looking for a human.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
I think they want the human. They want a hug.
I think you're right. I just think that it's hard for it right now. I agree with you. Right. I just think that the police, like the forces themselves, they're always on camera, right? It's like, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? We have to, as people, understand that the cops are human.
Sure.
I think that's what has to happen more. And then kind of let them have a little bit of fun.
There was a video years ago, probably 20 years ago now, and I'll have to dig it up. It was, I love my Calgary police members. And being an Edmonton police guy, I was so envious of this because what they did, the media relations folks went around the city of Calgary saying, what do you think about it? And they were, I love my Calgary cops. I love my Calgary police. I love the RCMP. I love, and they just went around to all of these different people. They spent, and collected all these really fantastic stories about how important our police, the service, is to Calgary.
Yeah.
And I think we learned our valuable lesson is that if we dismiss the police, chaos.
Oh yeah, huge.
We can get, and again, I'm not taking away from other industries and jobs and stuff like that, but if we don't have that strong sense of security and protection, the world will fall apart.
Oh yeah, sure. We can take away from other jobs. Actually, we can, right? Like, if you took away Uber, restaurants would do better again. Okay, so if you took away the cops, restaurants aren't going to do very well. They're going to get robbed. There'll be crime. The worst will come out. We've seen what happens when there isn't an authority in the Stanton experiment, right? So
correct. Well, I watched, and I was my policing career had me before internet and phones, and then after, and I guess the part that's still, and I'm a hugging guy, but I'm, where's the human in all of this? This is a human service. Yeah. And I don't want to cross the line or whatever. There is no line to cross. No. Someone needs compassion. Yep. You give them a hug. If they're looking for a connection, you give them a handshake. And what's wrong with that? And what is so scary about that these days? And as an educator, I'm constantly emulating and kind of, this is criminal law, but with a hug. This is criminal law, sometimes with a boot in the pants. Yeah. This is criminal. I mean, but where's the human side in all of this? That human piece, that team building, that nature that we're all born with, it's all gone. And we're so, now we're bubble people. Now we couldn't possibly hug somebody. That's ridiculous. Yeah. We're crossing the line. Bull. We
have to find a way to kind of bring that back. With my last guest, they do continuing education online, and I think a big thing that we talked about even was like the loss of almost like ideology and humanity in universities and colleges, right? Yeah. Like colleges, like if you have an idea that's against the college, they don't want you on campus. Recently, UCBO or whatever it's called, Okanagan.
Okanagan.
So they just banned the Students' Conservative Party. They banned them. They said it doesn't align with us. They left the Liberal, they left the NDP, they banned the Okanagan. They let them back now, but after a country of outrage. Right?
Sure.
Like, and that's very interesting, right? So it's like, it's not even just like, where's the hug, where's the boot in the pants? It's also like, where's your own thought?
Right.
Why can't you just think for yourself?
Sure.
We spent all this time teaching people like, oh, everyone is unique and yada yada, and I don't see it shining through as much these days.
Right.
I feel like people are more tribal than ever, and I think that we do have to find a way to say, no, we are human. We do make mistakes. Right. Everyone makes mistakes. You shouldn't be hung from the ceiling by your toenails off your first mistake. We should know, oh yeah, that was coming sooner or later. You're just human. Right.
Well, my piece around that is that, and treating it like a bank account. Yeah. If those relationships, if you haven't deposited
positive
enough into
and
the
negative
right,
transactions,
you have no right to make a withdrawal. And that's why my community, when I was policing, I would put all constant deposits in and showing up and making sure that the neighbors were, how's the party going? The new people would be, new Canadian would move into a new building. I was the first one to knock on the doors and, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. They go, you're the cops. Yeah, right. We're the cops. And
I'd be like, what did I do?
And there's the bank manager, and there's the teacher, and there's the property owner, and there's the hospital. That's the emergency room nurse. We're all in this together, and we've lost that piece.
Yeah, I live downtown now, so it's interesting.
Brilliant.
Downtown has a community, but it's a nightlife community, right?
Sure.
It's definitely not a suburbs community. Right. But even in my condo building, I feel like there's no connection in that community. I feel like even that should have a bit more community these days. Yep. I remember when I was growing up in the suburbs down South Calgary and Mindapore, and like you knew everyone.
You were one of those kids.
I knew everyone in Mindapore.
Sure.
Like everyone. I knew every person in every single house. Like they knew me. I was causing trouble, so they knew me. So
well, I grew up in
you were
Forest Lawn.
showing up to my parents' house, but not for to say hi.
I was raised in Forest Lawn. I mean, and we all knew each other. And the cops all
block
knew us.
Parties,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was really close with a few different cops in the neighborhood. Yeah. Because you just see them around. They come in, they come, they say hi, checking in. Hey, what are you guys doing tonight? Are you getting up to any fun? Yeah. I saw that a lot, but I see a lot less just community. Maybe it's because I'm downtown, like I said, but I don't hear about big block parties happening anymore these days. I
lived in East Village.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're close to that, but
I'm on the other side. I'm closer to the Sun Alta,
in East Village, I love it. I currently I'm in the burbs, but I can't wait to get back down to East Village. I loved it down there. Yes, nice. With the homeless. Yes, with the tents. All that.
Yeah.
But there was something magical about that.
Yeah.
And the more the secure measures, the easier it was people to figure out a countermeasure to that.
100%.
And let's just take care of our own. And but yeah, as I said, I grew up in this place called Forest Lawn. In fact, I was in the trailer court in Forest Lawn.
I had a driving instructor who was RCMP in police, and they used to call Ogden and Forest Lawn what did they call it on the forest?
We called it I was Forest Lonnie.
Forest Lawn. That's
Lonnie.
perfect.
Yeah, where are you from? I'm Forest Lonnie.
They called it like the mouth or something.
Could be.
Yeah, something like that, because at one point it got pretty bad. But I think it's the development going on there right now is crazy. It's huge. Lot of land getting bought, lots of yuppies buying the land and redeveloping. Yep. So that took longer than I thought for that transfer of wealth to start happening. But that's what happens. Those areas that they get bought, and then they get totally revitalized.
Kids moving back to mom and dad's home after they give them the house. They knock the house down, build a big house. I mean, we were growing up. We would make our way into Inglewood, Ramsey, Marta Loop, Bridgeland, over to across the Deerfoot when it was just a trail.
Yeah.
And then home back to Forest Lawn. We did that big loop, and we did it every weekend. And I mean, we were the little rats that were running around. The cops were always trying to catch us. We hung out with the cops' kids. So at James Short Memorial and Pembroke Meadows, and just a blast. And so, in order to be one, we had to. Yeah. It had to be a police officer. Had to actually know what we were up to when we were kids. And
yeah. That's a good point too. That's a good point to actually say. Is like even cops, they were once kids.
Of course, absolutely, of course. Yeah. So. We were those kids who would run up to the police cars and asking them for a hockey card, or asking them, telling them, eating donuts today. And I mean, cops weren't to be afraid of. I mean, I remember my parents, and we're waving at the police in the back window and standing on the seat, of course, before seatbelts and stuff. But and we weren't afraid of them.
Yeah.
And now it's like this That's fear.
That's something that I've always actually been curious about lately. It's like when I look at like Calgary police force versus like UK, like when you look at the vehicles, when you look at the outfits, when you look at it, like there's such a you could look at them if they were in a comic book, you would say one's a hero and one's a villain. One looks intimidating, where the other one looks like, hey, I'm over here, I'm wearing a high vis, I got a yellow hat, right? Like what is it? What is the study? Is there a study behind that? Like, because they obviously went for an intimidating look compared to like an easy to see look.
Yeah,
it might just be a North American thing.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, and Southeast Asia as well.
Yeah.
But I've spent lots of time in the UK, lots of time in the Middle East. Of course, lots of time at home in North America. I think there's this, because there's got so much stuff on. First off, we're going to have to start hiring fatter cops because there's so much on their belt.
Yeah.
So many tools.
Yeah.
In my day, you had your sidearm, a baton, maybe a baton.
Yeah.
A giant flashlight that nobody ever used as a flashlight, and a pair of handcuffs. That was
the baton.
That was it. And now they look like RoboCops. They got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and yes, they look intimidating with their sunglasses and leather gloves and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you walk up to any one of them in those coffee shops. Can I get a hug?
Yeah.
Hey, my name's Lonnie. How you doing? What do you do here?
Yeah.
Those kinds of, and if you want to make a cop smile, just ask him how his day's going.
Oh, yeah.
You talk to him and
100%.
get to know him and stuff.
I've never had a bad interaction just saying hi to a cop.
And
I do it every time I walk by one.
I mean, I have an opinion about tickets and giving tickets out as a police officer versus giving and all the great stuff that's going on. But that look of, the militarized look with external body armor and stuff all over them and stuff like that. It's our, with the new gun culture that's coming into Canada with the imports and guns, and we have to protect them for sure.
100%.
For sure.
Yep.
And however, it also does a terrible job on, hey, should I approach that police officer because he looks big and scary, or she looks big and scary? And how do you downplay that, or how do you so that my kids can run after them and say, hey, I need your help, I'm scared, or I've lost my mom, lost my dad, or whatever. Versus the UK, where they got that blue and yellow checker all over the vehicles, and they
look silly.
They totally look silly.
Yeah.
Well, in Edmonton, our police cars were yellow.
Oh, really?
We were
like cabs.
They were.
Yeah.
For drugs, yellow with white and they looked odd and weird, and where everybody else had black and whites and blue and whites, and
that's interesting.
We had yellow cars.
I'll have to
fluorescent yellow cars.
That's funny.
And our uniforms were a light gray, and after a while they started turning pink.
Because
shirts,
they
washed
them,
washed them so much, and that was us.
Yeah.
And
let's talk a little bit about more of the career as a cop, because before we finish up here, we're running at about like 55 minutes right now. You got 10, 15 minutes left?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So what you do, you get these kids, you're going to set up for your career as a cop, but there's so much more to that. And I hope that some people are getting that, because you touched on earlier, as soon as you retired from the police force, 8 days later, you had another job, right? So you did that, and there's a continued career if you want it. And there's also, even after, I'm sure, just like 5-10 years of tenure as a cop, there's a lot of opportunities that open up to you, right? Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you were asking me my advice as to that 20-year cop right now, and there are 25-year pensions in Alberta, but your police officer is sitting at 20 years, jeepers, I'm getting in my last twilight zone of policing. What should I do? And not for everybody, again. I love teaching. I love being in the classroom, imparting knowledge on these young people that so deserve our time and energy.
Yeah.
And if there was ever some advice for that 20-year member that I got, his name is Brad, actually. I'm sitting in his office, and he goes, you need to go back to school. You need to get your education. And if you can appreciate, I was 19. I just graduated from Fowler with a high school grad. I sanded cars for $3.21 an hour. And then now I'm being a serious candidate in policing.
Yeah.
And so with no education, it's unheard of. So at that 20-year mark, go after your education, and so that you can get back into the classroom and impart that knowledge, or you end up doing a cheesy security job in Fort McMurray on the oil sands, not taking anything away.
Yeah.
But I did that, and it took me away from my family, and what really inflated me and what really got me up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so being in those classrooms, being in training, imparting that knowledge, these guys have got 25 years of this amazing experience and on how to sell quality of life. How to keep people out of trouble. I mean, there's nobody better than a police officer that can sell cars, because they have that gift. They're in your grill. They're sharing all the pros and negatives and all that kind of stuff. But we're asking, if you're serious about your post-retirement at that 25-year, go back to school, go get your education. And to start now, as you're entering, if there was any advice for those entering into a policing career after you've been recruited and stuff, is pay attention to what those senior dogs are telling you and showing you. I mean, and have some fun. Put this, when you work hard, you have to play hard. That's where the play hard piece is missing.
Yeah.
And, we can't do that. No, it's going to look bad on. Get out there, start getting out there and starting enjoying and meeting people, and not just meet people for their business card, but meet people for find out who they are, what's going on in their heads. And it won't take long. Years after I retired, I'm getting calls still. Hey, I know there's a B&E. I know where there's going to be a bank robbery. I know who's selling dope. I said, you're calling me? I'm retired. Call Crime Stoppers.
Be the next Batman. You're ready for it. You got all the intel.
I never took my position for granted. We were like Santa Claus. I walked West Edmonton Mall, and nobody walked by us who was about 9 or under without a hug, handshake, or a high five.
Yeah.
And I've had years later people say, hey, are you Constable Lonnie? I remember you at West Edmonton Mall. I remember you riding your bike in Woodlands in Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you. And it's like, those are the feel-good stories about your legacy. And that's the piece through that education training piece. I'll live forever because they'll have picked up a message from me or a little morsel of learning from me, and they're going to pass it on to their next recruit
100%.
Or their grand. So I'm going to live forever, and I love it. It's perfect.
You leave a legacy, especially now teaching.
For sure.
Yeah. It even expands that, right?
Yes, and sometimes
that's like aggregate, right? It's building.
Yeah.
Snowball effect. So
and
that must feel good.
It does feel good and not perfect. There's some bad days and some lots of great days. It just like it allows me to rethink, what am I actually doing here? And is this really what I want? It is really, really what I want.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you. This has been a great day.
This is a good talk.
Reflecting on and in a commercial break, so to speak, on why I do what I do. Yeah. And sometimes I don't do it really well. And that's just me being me. Yeah. And recognizing when I see that kid at a career fair and he's kind of looking around with big eyes, not sure, mom's bitching and moaning at him because he hasn't got a job and he's working at McDonald's still. Right. He's got to be, you got to be something, here. Right? You're out of the house. And then someone like me shows up saying, I think there's an opportunity for you here. Yeah. And we're really paying it. Where's that farm kid from Saskatchewan? Yeah. Where's that kid that's been on the McDonald's window for the last 2 years and listened to all that bitching and moaning, and I didn't order double cream and I didn't get this. That's that kid I want. Yeah. Yeah. That's that kid I want to keep coming back to the trough. I want to give him my all because that's the person that's going to end up, he's going to end up responding to that person that's going to need help. Yeah. Going to do a great job. Yeah. Going to do a great job. Yeah.
I think that's a great spot to end that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's been a great talk.
It has been really. Thank you very much for
all